Welcome back to the Healthy Habit Podcast, episode number 236. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of Healthy Habit Podcast. Located right inside Healthy Habit Health Foods is our medical center here, Healthy Habit Medical Center. And we just had our 6 years here in July of 2025 of our clinic being open as well. Store's been here over 20 years, a couple different locations here on 7th Street. So thank you guys for tuning in. And if you're not already subscribed, you can hit that little subscribe button under the podcast video and stay in the loop with what's going on here at Healthy Habit. Again, we're talking with Maria Maroney here today, Integrative Nutritionist with decades of natural products industry experience across both retail and practitioner channels, including work for the esteemed Institute of Functional Medicine. By the way, we had Maria on episode 212 as well, 212, where we broke down key proteins and amino acid building blocks for health and differentiated collagen, whole earth and seas plant protein options, and much more. So while Maria maintains a food-first approach, she's keenly aware of the lack of nutrients in foods grown today and firmly believes in the positive impact the right supplements can have on human health. Welcome back, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to do a deep dive on magnesium here today. Super important topic. You know, a lot of people take
Mhm.
multivitamins, Maria, but there isn't enough magnesium in those. I mean, there's a little bit. There's a little pinch in typical multivitamins, maybe 10 to 15% of your daily value that you need.
Right.
So we like to suggest a lot of people add it in addition to their multivitamin or multi-mineral formula. Introduce us to this topic. Why did you want to highlight magnesium? Why is it such an important thing?
Well, I think I call it a magnesium a superstar. And I think we need it because I guess lots of people have heard that phrase. Magnesium is involved in over 300 different enzymatic processes in the body.
Yeah.
You know, read abstracts that say 600. I've even seen
Mm,
a study that said 900.
wow.
So I think the point of that really is that it's pretty essential for pretty much every system in our body to operate properly. It's also really essential in making energy. And so I think more than anything else, you know, having enough energy in our day is pretty important. So to me, multivitamins can't have much in them because it's such a big mineral. And
Right.
so you'd be taking, you know, 5 or 6 different um, pills or capsules or tablets every single day if you needed to add enough calcium and
Right.
magnesium to those. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea to supplement with additional magnesium.
Yeah, absolutely. Good little intro there. Super
Yeah,
important. Like you said, it depends on the paper we're looking at or the study that we're referring to. It could be anywhere from 3 to 900 plus different reactions playing in the
right.
body. There's a book by Dr. Thomas Levy, who's actually an MD and a judge. He's a JD and an MD, but he has a book on magnesium where he mentions that 85 to 90 plus percent of the population is deficient in magnesium. So super important. It's one of the few supplements I take on a regular basis. What is it doing exactly in the body? What's happening in the body with magnesium? Why is it involved in so many different reactions?
Yeah, I think lots of folks know that it's good for our nervous systems, right? It
Mm,
helps us relax. And I think honestly, you know, despite its popularity as an osmotic, something that draws water into the intestines, I think the relaxation aspect of it is something that helps people with their elimination, right? If you can relax, you can eliminate. Um,
right.
Other forms of
Oh, interesting.
magnesium can help us sleep better, right? Some forms are good for our heart health and healthy blood pressure. Combined with calcium, it actually helps us build strong bones and strong teeth. It helps the body make glutathione, which is our master antioxidant. And another really interesting tidbit is that it helps maintain healthy blood sugar. So it's really important for the proper functioning of insulin receptors. So any one of those things would be enough reason, but the combination of all of those things, it makes it a superstar.
I love that you mentioned that last tail end one there in the blood sugar insulin management. It
Yeah,
strengthens our insulin activity. I've used it in a lot of different prediabetes and type 2 diabetes cases here at the clinic as well. Super important. Not many people know that one. That
yeah,
magnesium is anti-diabetic. So super important on that.
for
And
sure.
so good. Yeah, you mentioned what it does in the body. Why is it so important? Setting the stage for today, and what can cause someone to not absorb it well, to let's say they are supplementing with it, or they're eating all these foods that they Googled that are really high in magnesium, and they're still not absorbing it well, and they're still dealing with symptoms. What can potentially be going on there?
Yeah, well, the first thing that you just mentioned it is when people aren't actually eating enough plant foods. Minerals come from the ground, and so plants have this amazing way of absorbing those minerals and turning them into something that we can actually absorb. So the more plant foods we eat, the better it is for us to be able to absorb more natural form of those nutrients. But most people don't really get the 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day that they should be eating. And so that's where the need for supplementation comes in, really. So, but what are some things that can deplete from the body? So, some medications can deplete levels, right?
Mm,
Things like diuretics. That's why they say caffeine. Don't, if you're drinking too much caffeine, that can deplete levels in the body. PPIs and antacids can cause the body to get rid of more or not absorb magnesium very well.
right.
Antibiotics can also cause depletion. And I think stress is the biggest one, right? Those stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, they use up a lot of magnesium as they get the body ready for fight or flight. And so I think, many of us have a combination of those things, right?
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the coffee as well, the caffeine. That's a big one.
Hmm.
It's like you're hitting two birds with one stone there. You're clearing out magnesium out of your body, reducing its absorption, but then also dumping that stress hormone response into your bloodstream, like cortisol, the adrenalines, while reducing your magnesium levels. So that can be a tough combination long
Yeah.
term for many people. And then they're
And
all of a
nobody
sudden,
wants to give up their coffee.
yeah, it's a big one. It's a big drug. It's actually a drug. People don't like
It,
to understand that, but it's literally a drug.
it
So
truly is.
thanks for highlighting that. How can you tell if you're deficient in magnesium? There's blood tests. What other types of testing mechanisms are there? Or what about
Yeah.
signs and symptoms in general? You did mention some here today, like prediabetes. If your insulin isn't as strong, it's not only from being low in magnesium, but that's part of it potentially. Nervousness, constipation. What else should we be looking out for? How can we tell if we're deficient?
Well, so it's really tricky because there's so many symptoms that mimic other things or are parts of other things, right? So if you're having mood changes, you're changing your sleep patterns, maybe you're not as hungry as you used to be, or you're nauseous, or you're even getting sick, right? Fatigue is another big one.
Mm,
Muscle weakness or cramping, right? Even numbness and tingling. And things like abnormal heart rhythms. Like all of those things could be other things, but they also could all add up to all you need is a little bit more magnesium. The test part is tough, so the body tightly regulates the blood. In your blood, there's only about 1% magnesium
mm,
at any given time. So if
okay.
you do a blood test, that's really all it's going to show is that 1%. So it's really not giving
Right.
you a lot of information, right? Your storage levels are your bones, right? And also some soft tissue. So you could do a red blood cell test that can test magnesium levels that are inside red blood cells. That might give you a little more information, or a doctor could do that, I should say. Urinary magnesium, you can measure the excretion over a 24-hour period. That gives you some information about how much you're excreting on a daily basis. I mean, I think the gold star would be a micronutrient test, like a NutriVal, that measures blood and urine. It uses tests like mass spectrometry, but it also gives a nice picture of all your micronutrient levels in the body. Now, the downside, of course, is that it's really expensive. And you can't, like, if you go to your conventional allopathic physician, they're not going to even know what a NutriVal is. So you're going to have to find yourself a
That's
naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor, and even some advanced integrative nutritionists, if they're working with a doctor, can order those kinds of tests. But you know, they're pricey. It's a lot. It's said something like 48% of people in the U.S. Are deficient. And here's a cool little tidbit: men over 70 have the highest deficiency levels.
wow.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. Wow. Men over 70, you
Yeah.
said? Yeah. That's super interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned the NutriVal. That's the Genova one through Genova
Hmm.
Diagnostics. Yeah, we use them a lot, even other companies like Mosaic. But yeah, it's pricey. We're looking at over $300, if not four, close to 400 on some of these tests. But it's not like you're doing them every month.
Right.
Maybe once a year, maybe twice if you're doing like a back to back after 1 year of treatment. It's not something that you're gonna have to be keep
Right.
paying over and over and over again. So it's super
Exactly,
valuable.
exactly. It really, if you're just thinking, oh man, I wonder if I'm deficient in magnesium, probably not worth it. If you're dealing with a lot of other
Yes.
things and seeing, some like coming to the clinic and you feel like it's something that somebody should do, then it's a great test. But yeah,
Thanks for mentioning that. Yes, Maria. And yeah, we do offer that here at Healthy Habits. So if you're interested, we can definitely dive deep into specialty testing and explain all that. So, what's meant by elemental magnesium and why are there so many different types? Someone's always asking which one. We have a whole magnesium section here. There's at least 11 to 13
yes.
different ones on the shelf here. So, help us understand this a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very tricky subject, and it's not just magnesium, it's all minerals really.
Right, right,
So you can't just get minerals from the ground, right? Put them in a capsule and expect your body to absorb it because it just doesn't work that way. So that elemental magnesium or pure magnesium, right? It has to be bound or chelated to something else that can sort of escort it into the cell, right? Otherwise, the body just can't take it in. So there's lots of different things that you can chelate or bind magnesium to in order to do this. So in chemistry, they call them salts, and there's two different kinds of salts. We have inorganic salts, so that includes things like oxide or chloride. So you've heard of magnesium oxide, right?
right.
Um, the the upside to those are that they have a higher concentration of that pure elemental magnesium. So when you're looking at the label, you're like, wow, and they're very inexpensive. So you're like, wow, this is more bang for my buck. The issue is they're not terribly absorbable. So magnesium oxide is magnesium bound to oxygen, right? And so that's really all it is. So, but it causes a sort of what they call an osmotic effect, meaning it draws water into the colon, and that's why some people can't tolerate magnesium oxide, right? Now, the other kind of salts are organic salts, so they have a lower concentration, but they have a better ability to get into the cell. So it's actually the better form. So if you're just standing there looking at labels and you don't know this, you're probably going to lean towards a magnesium oxide, but it's really not the best form for you. So, so I read in a recent study actually about magnesium oxide that the body can only absorb about 4% of the elemental magnesium from an oxide form,
Uh-huh.
which to me sounds like why even bother?
Right.
So I hope that clears it up. Like
Yeah.
you want it might be lower elemental magnesium, but if it's better absorbable, then that's your better choice.
No, exactly. There's different ways you can look at this, and it's not as simple as, oh, take this form or take that form. I mean, there's some blends, there's some that have different
Yeah,
multiple
and there's and
types and
there's
what.
more to talk about as far as forms go too. I
Exactly,
mean,
exactly.
Natural Factors makes we stick to three different forms, and the reason we stick to those three forms, magnesium citrate, magnesium bisglycinate, and magnesium L-threonate,
Hmm.
and those three forms we stick to because that's where all the research is. There are
Okay.
other forms bound to other things, and there's some promising research, but not enough for us to kind of feel like it's right to bring to market at this time. You know what I mean? And sometimes you'll find those other forms in combination kind of products, because they're supportive. But if you're just looking for the straight magnesium, I think you want to stick with citrate. It's the most popular form, really. It's a good choice for raising magnesium levels. It promotes a gentle regularity for people who want magnesium for that reason. So citrate's a really good choice for most people. Bisglycinate, magnesium bisglycinate, that's been gaining, or glycinate, they often are called different things, but it kind of means the same thing.
Right.
So that's magnesium bound to glycine, right? And glycine is helpful for sleep. So it's been gaining magnesium bisglycinate's been gaining popularity as a sleep aid. Um, so L-threonate, that's a newer form that's on the market. So it's magnesium that's bound to threonic acid, and
Mm.
it's the only form that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. So it's showing a lot of benefit for mood support and increased cognition. So that one is a little higher priced than the other forms, but the brain benefits honestly are worth it. So um, those are kind of the three that we stick with.
Perfect. You beat me to the punch there. That was my next question. Amazing. I
Uh,
was going to ask, what's the best form to take? We differentiated that there are different types. You explain what that means, elemental magnesium, but then specifically natural factors focuses, they hone in on three types of magnesium, since that's where the bulk of the research is located, like magnesium
yeah.
citrate, bisglycinate, oftentimes just called glycinate as well, magnesium glycinate, similar thing. It's basically the same thing. And then magnesium L-threonate, which is the pricier
Right.
option, as Maria was mentioning, but it does provide deeper cognitive benefits, relaxation benefits, focus, even memory benefits as well. So, which is what a lot of people are looking for, especially elderly, 50 plus, 60 plus year olds coming in looking for brain support and calming the brain. So, out of those three,
Or
where
even
should
students, even
that's true.
students.
That's right. Yeah, even students. You don't have to be elderly to use it. Just anytime you're looking for that mental health focus, brain support as well, or
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed mentally, it can really
Hmm.
help calm the brain down. Magnesium L-threonate. So out of those three, then citrate, bisglycinate, and threonate, how does someone know where to start? And we're coming to the last 4 minutes or so here. What's a good starting
Yeah,
point of those three?
I think it depends on what you're looking to accomplish with your
That's a good
magnesium.
answer.
All three of them will raise magnesium levels in the body. You might even want to try a combination of magnesiums. For me, I like magnesium L-threonate in the morning because I like to start my day with a little focus. And then before I go to bed, I'm going to take a little magnesium glycinate to get a better night's sleep. And then that's giving me enough elemental magnesium because the best place to get it is from food, right? And so I'm eating lots of vegetables and fruits during my day as well. And so I think I'm covering all the bases. Somebody who just wants to raise their magnesium levels might just want to start with magnesium citrate. And we make that for kids too. We make a nice magnesium citrate in a bubblegum flavor.
Yeah.
It's 50 milligram chewables. And those are good because kids need magnesium too.
Amazing. And then with the last couple minutes here, like you said, kids need magnesium too. Super important. Thanks for mentioning that. What about Epsom salts or magnesium sulfate? Can you absorb
Yeah,
magnesium through the skin? And we'll finish on this note here. Tell us about
yeah.
Epsom salts.
Yeah, so they are great for relaxing you, that is for sure. But the research really is conflicted about whether or not you can absorb magnesium through the skin.
Mm,
So I would say take the magnesium supplementally and take a good Epsom salt bath soak, because that's going to relax you as well. But as far as absorbing that magnesium, I can't say one way or the other yet.
right.
The
Like
studies aren't there.
you wouldn't do that to raise or correct a clinical deficiency
Correct.
necessarily, but we do know it does still help with relaxation. There's people have been doing Epsom salt baths for a long time, so but like you said, we just don't we want to accurately raise it the blood levels, right? So
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to leave us with here in a minute? What's a good place people can go learn more? Naturalfactors.com is a good starting point for now.
Yeah, you can find all of our products at naturalfactors.com and then, get your information and then pop into the store and learn from the knowledgeable folks at Healthy Habit for sure. They can point you to the right direction of which magnesium might be right for you.
Maria, I always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on for 236 here of the Healthy Habit Podcast. I look forward to our next one.
Awesome. Have a great day.